This is Dennis John Sytsma, Dennis Sytsma Video Productions, 2007 Honda Civic video log. In the prior video I told you I'd replaced both the front lower control arms and the right front CV axle. In prior times on the driver's side I would replace the driver's side CV axle. It also replaced the passenger side and the driver's side engine mounts. Also replaced the lower engine mount for engine and transmission. I think I replaced all the mounts. I told you I'd intentionally left the bolts a little bit loose on the right front lower control arm to allow things to settle in, because if you tighten them down dirt tight from day one with it on jacks, you could rip the rubber parts you just replaced and put too much stress on them for their intended service life. And I didn't know that when I replaced the lower control arm on the driver's side a couple of years ago. But this time I read the instructions, but I'd left the bolts intentionally loose because it said to tighten them down. The final tightening would be with the vehicle at its normal stance, off jack stands and what have you, on its suspension. Well, the front two bolts weren't that big a problem. Those were 17mm deep well. Got to them real easy, used a real long breaker band. Found them way too loose on the passenger side. I'd left them loose, but not that loose. But there's a lot of threads on those bolts, so didn't back all the way out. And I heard some clunking noises when I would accelerate or decelerate, and I gotta ferret that out. But I drove the car from Lynn Haven, Florida, near Panama City, to Tallahassee and back, and since then. And this morning I got underneath and I did the front two bolts with the 17mm, no problem, and tightened them real dirt tight, really, with the long breaker bar, the 25-inch, half-inch breaker bar, and the impact socket 17mm. The rear two I couldn't get to, even with all these extensions and with the universal and this really nice swivel head ratchet from Pittsburgh, got at Harbor Freight. And I like these Harbor Freight extensions because they got super lock on here. So anyway, I couldn't get to the rear one, so I'm going to leave that. I've ordered swivel sockets, both deep well and regular 15mm, for the rear two bolts. And I'll loosen those and then set them with the thing at the normal stance when I get to the property in Homestead, Florida, USA, which is 600 miles away. I'm going to stay in Gainesville at least one night, maybe two. Got a friend there who was in Homestead forever, but he moved to Gainesville, near Gainesville, west of Gainesville, for whatever reason. But a lot of people get burned out on Southeast Florida. It's very crowded and congested, and after you live there a long time, some people, but once they leave it, then they wax philosophically how nice it was after they've left. So anyway, Dennis Sytsma, Dennis John Sytsma. There's a lot of Dennis Sytsmas all over the world. It's a popular name, apparently. Didn't know that. I thought I was the only one, but I used the J-O-N moniker to distinguish me from others. Dennis Sytsma Productions. Hope you enjoy the video. And like I say, I ordered more tools. And my spouse of 42 years at this date said something about all the tools I'm ordering, but you know, I'm doing more work now, so you know, during my working life I had a lot of tools at the property, at the farm and homestead, Tropical Fruit Grove, and I don't have many tools here, so I'm having to, you know, and these tools are really durable and they'll last a lifetime, so somebody will enjoy them after I'm gone, as I'm getting up there in years. But I like working with good tools and doing good work because they pay for themselves, because Man, they charge so much, the shops do, for the suspension work. And yeah, it's dirty and takes time and takes a lot of special tools, but for what they charge to do this suspension work, and they treat it like it's rocket science. And like I said, I already replaced the stabilizer links, all four of them. Oh, those things are expensive. But if I replace them in the future and I have any time, I will use the quality ones from TRW as opposed to whatever I could get, which is what I did this time. And I also replaced the throttle body, and it's running a lot nicer now. That hesitation when the air conditioner kicked on and off is gone. And I still have a little bit rougher feel than I think I should have, even with everything new in there that I've done. And I replaced the transmission filter that was buried on the back side of this engine. Really hard to get to until you got the throttle body out of the way. Even with the throttle body out of the way, it was a... But once you learn how to take it in and out, it's not really that bad if you know how to do it. If you study my past videos, it's not that bad. And it was well worth doing because the one I had was partially obstructed. I don't care what they say, lifetime of the vehicle filter. Baloney. Change the filter, because an obstructed filter will kill your transmission. It requires fluid, and a lot of it, and clean fluid. And some people say, oh, you service the transmission and then it fails. It's probably going to fail anyway. When you change the fluid, it loosens up all that muck and guck that you didn't, so I believe in regular services and replacing parts when necessary. But don't be a parts changer. Do your diagnostics fully before you tear into things. It's nice to know that the work you're doing is actually necessary, and the parts you're spending buying are necessary and good quality. I used to buy parts online, but got too many bad ones. It didn't fit, or short service life, so I'm buying less and less parts online, unless they're genuine this or genuine that, and from a known source like Rock Auto or Honda Parts Today or Honda Parts Now or Napa or AutoZone or Advanced Auto, and sometimes Walmart. But I got a can of bogus Freon from, not Freon, refrigerant, excuse me. Freon is an old term. Refrigerant covers all types of agents that are used in modern refrigeration systems, so I say refrigerant. And one can was bogus, and who knows where it came from or how. But anyway, only buy good refrigerant from a known source, because it might be bogus, and flammable too. Kaboom. So I hope you enjoyed the video.